I just was trying to figure out consistency.
My turn. Mike, open up the meeting at 6:06 for the 6/19/17 meeting. Would you all please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. On our agenda here, we have first, we're going to park the employee handbook.
Can you speak up? We can't hear a word you're saying.
First on the agenda is the employee handbook review, and I've had a request to it needs more work and more tweaking. So we're not going to have that on the agenda tonight. So next,
Hold on, before we move from that, are we shooting to have it on next meeting's agenda?
That's our goal.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I just had a request to move the agenda around, bringing up old business. The issue at 254 White Mountain Highway by Selectman Rawson. So if everybody's okay with that?
Just move it up.
Yeah.
Get it out
Okay,
of the
so
way.
I'm going to open up the issue at 254 White Mountain Highway. I understand we have some people in the audience that want to speak on that.
Yes,
Is that?
I would.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Joe St. Lawrence, my wife Michelle St. Lawrence. We're the former owners of Three Ponds Automotive. Okay. We're here to tell the board and the townspeople the facts of the rock wall from our side. The first thing I would ask is that Selectman Ryan not be part of this meeting as a selectman. In my opinion, this is a total conflict of interest. Ryan started this complaint as a resident of Milton and is now pursuing this as a selectman. I just don't believe it is a fair thing to have him as part of the selectmen and making a decision if it comes to something like that on this. I've got more too, but I want to.
Go ahead, elaborate, and I'll make my decision when you're finished.
How do you make a decision?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's
So-
a totally conflict of interest.
So all I've ever said about this sitting up here is to go after liability of the town,
Okay,
to
and
eliminate
I-
liability of the town.
Yep, and I
And
have
that's
in here.
all I've gone after, so
Okay,
there's
and I
no conflict of
have
interest.
stuff in here that will prove that at the beginning of this, it had nothing to do with the liability of the town. So as a resident, he was worried about himself. And now as a selectman, he's worried about the town's liability.
You have the floor right now, Joe.
Okay, you want me just, well,
You go ahead.
okay. In August of 2016, we came to the selectmen's meeting because Ryan was saying that we were encroaching on his property. At that meeting, I told the board I had a court decision that proved that there was no encroachment. Everything was agreed upon between us, the Labrie selling the property, and the Murrays who were buying the property. Everything was agreed, everything, the thing, it was all fine. At first, there was an issue that they thought we were encroaching on the property, and then it went to court, and it was proved that we weren't, and then a settlement was agreed upon. At that meeting, you guys had said, well, why don't you come in on the Wednesday after the meeting? And I met with Mike, and I met with the code enforcement officer to show you my papers. You didn't want to do it like this. So I guess from the start of the expansion project at Three Ponds Automotive, which was in April of 2010, until July of 2016, there was never any talk of like a permit being required for the building of the rock wall. Until that selectmen's meeting in July. And the only reason I came, I saw it in the paper. Nobody ever said anything to us about anything, so. On that Wednesday morning, I came to the town hall, and I got here a little bit early, and the code enforcement officer was here, and so we were just, talking a little bit. And he had said at that point, he said, to me, he said that he had stated that he had never issued a permit for a rock wall, and that he never would. So we went into when Mike got here, we went into one of the offices, and I showed them what I had. I showed them there was a designed picture of all this and the encroachment issue. And then Mike and the code enforcement officer went, and they started going through the code book a little bit. And they weren't able to find anything while I was there. Now, I didn't stay, too long, but nothing was ever found at that point saying that this rock wall needed a permit. So I left. So from that day, back in August of 2016 until last week, I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't heard a thing. No formal issue from the state, from the town saying there was a problem with that rock wall until then. It doesn't seem like a coincidence to me that I hear absolutely nothing for that whole time. Ryan gets elected in March? And now here we are. I've got the town attorney sending us papers saying that this rock wall either has to be taken down or checked for stability. It doesn't seem like it's like it seems like it's Ryan's personal agenda, not the town's agenda. The court papers showed no signs of.
What, if you don't mind me interrupting,
Yes.
why do you think it would be his personal agenda?
Because he started this as a citizen, and I have more.
Mhm.
I do have more that I will get to. If do you want? Can I?
Yeah, no, keep going. I just was wondering.
Yeah, no, it'll
what,
come up. It'll
okay.
come up. The court papers also showed a couple other things. And I'll quote from the court papers that the project involves removing gravel and erecting a retaining wall on the easterly side of the property. And the other is, and I'll quote again, is the respondents, that was us, sought and obtained advice from the town of Milton code enforcement officer as to whether it would be necessary to obtain a gravel permit. His response was no. So at this point, if we're talking about permits, never was there another ever brought up that a permit's needed for a retaining wall. It wouldn't have been brought up then. I mean, and then the work there took quite a few years. I mean, everybody in the town knows that a rock wall was being put up. You never heard anything. Never heard a word. It's not like, you know, somebody from the town couldn't have seen the thing. I mean, they could have, and if there was a problem at that point, they should, you know, they could have come. We don't know. We're not. I'm not a builder. I'm not. No, I'm a mechanic. You know, that's it. Okay, so now, when Ryan first told me of his concerns about the wall that borders his property of 62 feet, Ryan was concerned about his liability if that rock wall fell. That's what he told me. Concerned that he would be liable if the rock wall fell. So what I did was, I was talking to a guy that works for the state of New Hampshire, and he said what they do on some of their rock walls is they fence it. Put a fence up against it, hold anything back. So I said, well, that sounds like maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should pursue that. So I had a fence company guy come, and so it was me, Michelle, and the fence company guy at the shop one day. And this was just after the shop was sold. Ryan was out in his yard. So I waved him over. I said, here, come on over. Let's talk about how this is going, what we're thinking. So we told him about it. Didn't want to do that. Didn't want that to be done. There was no discussion about it. So I said, all right, what do you want? What do you think should be done? He says, I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I don't know what we should do. You know? So, and I had been thinking about this, and I never told anybody about the possibility of buying a little section of land. So I said to Ryan, I said, well, what if I buy 62 feet by 15 feet? So from here to the middle of the road, and from me to you, Mike, maybe. I said, what do you think about that? He said, well, yeah. I said, how about, I'll give you $1,000 for it. It's a 62 by 1,000, by 15-foot section of a hill, useless land. And he didn't know, went off, said, no, that's not worth it. I said, so Ryan, what do you think it's worth? Now remember, I had never told anybody anything about trying to buy a piece of land from him. I never mentioned it to anybody. Only one I mentioned it was Michelle. And he took a piece of paper out of his pocket. He says, oh, well, I've had this in my pocket for a few days, for a while. And on that piece of paper, he had a price. Now, I don't remember the exact amount of that because I was in a state of shock when he told me. It was over $20,000 for that little piece of land. So he would have sold me that little section and gotten rid of his liability. It wouldn't be there anymore. But I said, no way. I said, I'm not going to do it. That's just outrageous.
Did he ever ask you, so when he took the piece of paper out of his pocket,
Yep.
did he have a price on it? Did he show you?
Nope, didn't show me. He just told me he figured it out by what the shop sold for, by the square footage or whatever he did. He had a calculation of it. He had it right in his pocket. Never mentioned anything before about this. So if he is so concerned about his liability, he was willing to sell me a piece of property for his liability to be gone. But now that I didn't do that, how can it be that it now goes to the town liability? Now, in the last selectmen meeting, I watched it, he would not stop saying, this is a town liability. He, in a span of a couple minutes, must have said it 10 times. I saw you guys were kind of waving back on it, and he just kept hammering that it was a town liability. So, is he saying that if he had sold me that land and got rid of his liability, then he would have come to the selectmen's and still tried to do it? That's why it's a personal issue, I guess. I guess, you know, I have spoken to, I mean, I have my own lawyer. I have spoken to my lawyer. I have spoken to the engineering company about this. So I guess my request is that this gets dropped because obviously the building inspector didn't know that a permit was ever required. Nobody has ever said that there was a building permit required, or any kind of permit it is, except for Ryan. And now, I can't come here, I can't use the town attorney, I have to pay for my own legal services. Whereas this has now gone from, he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to spend the money. So now the town can absorb this. Now, if we go to court or something, this is gonna cost you money, it's gonna cost me double because I'm a taxpayer. Over a rock wall that nobody has any interest in except for him. Nobody else does. Pull this room, pull the town. See how many people have an issue with it.
You own the property now, do you have a problem with the
No, I actually like it.
Like it?
And that
Has
is
the rock wall
why
had any problem?
I believe he should be not part of this whole
Except for this.
decision. It's,
I may
So-
ask a question. You said earlier, sir, that you had an agreement with the seller, I think the realtor, or whatever. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, just like having a home inspection, if there's something wrong, you let them know. If something's unsafe, you let them know. Could you elaborate on what that agreement is?
it's a quarter.
Well, you should address the board.
Pardon?
Address the board.
Sorry.
Address the board with that question.
Okay. My question is, I
Can you
had
state his
heard...
name though? I
Yeah.
know who he is.
Can you state your name too, please?
Okay,
Tebow?
yes. Yeah, my name's
Oh,
Bill.
okay.
And what I heard is, don't do that. What I had heard is the fact that he had an agreement with the seller and the realtor. I'd like to know what that agreement was, because it's just like having a home inspection. If you have a home inspection, something that's wrong, it needs to be told to the owner. If there's an unsafe condition, it needs to be also spoken to.
Whatever, this was done before he bought the house. He bought the house with the rock wall like that,
I'd like to speak
with
on
an
that.
us as an agreement between us, the Labries, who sold the property to the Murrays. It's got nothing to do with,
It was 2 owners ago,
yeah.
2 owners before
He
Ryan.
bought the property with the rock wall there. That part of the wall was done.
Okay, so,
What's your last name?
Tebow.
Oh, so your relationship to the Ryan?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I am.
I'm just curious.
No, that's fine.
I came in, I had the court papers. I showed them to you and to the code enforcement officer, so there is, it is there. This agreement was there, so.
okay, so if you give me a second, Ryan has asked,
Can you speak up, sir? I'm partially deaf.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna hold you off right now. Ryan has asked to reply to that, so I'm gonna allow him to reply to that.
So I'd like to reply to the whole thing. So first off, all I said at the last meeting was concern for liability of the town. And that strictly comes from our town attorney, which was the original advice he had given back when this issue first came up. And he was basically very surprised that nothing was done about it. Second off, the fence discussion. When that happened from day one, I said, let's all three of us go to the town, work together, resolve this. When you brought up the fence, I said, get an engineering firm involved, go to the town. If they approve it, I'm good with it. It's not up to me, it's up to the town what needs to be done. Second off, $1,000 for the land, you offered $500. Third off, the fact that you haven't spoke to anybody is not true, because I have all the text messages between me and Jorge and Commier's real estate company, which is the company that sold your property, which was the one that told me he suggested me selling a section of land. And I was very clear with that all that's doing is eliminating liability to me. The wall is still unsafe and it's not fair to the people buying the property. Oh, what else? So that's why I had that number in my pocket, and it was 3 different numbers. It was based off what you sold your property for, what the town had it assessed, and then an average of the two.
It doesn't
Third
even
off,
matter
this-
what our property sold
Can I
for,
finish?
it's your property.
Can I finish, please? I let you finish.
Sure.
Third off, as a selectman, our duty is to look out for liability of the town. And that's what I'm in here to do. The reason I dropped it was because I had 2 different attorneys I went to, and they both told me that if the town isn't doing anything about it and something really bad happens, they're going to go after the town. They're not going to go after you, because the town knows they're in violation of a code and they're not doing anything about it. And it can be proven by the Board of Selectmen minutes. So that basically lines up with what our town attorney is saying, with what the 2 attorneys I talked to when I wasn't sitting in this seat said. So it wouldn't have been right for me to sit up here knowing that there's liability to the town and not address it. The liability to the town is all I'm going after, nothing else, per the recommendation of our town attorney. That's it.
But you were willing to sell me a piece of land to get rid of your liability.
I was never willing to sell you that.
So-
When did I say I would sell it?
You
It was
had a
a-
price for me, you said.
Because the realtor brought that up, not me.
No, I
All
never
right,
talked.
let's not get into an argument here, okay?
Yeah.
State facts.
I never
Stay with
talked to Bill Cormier about buying a piece of land.
I got the text messages right
Well,
here.
that's, that's Bill
so
Cormier, that's not Joe St. Lawrence.
at the end of the day, this is a town meeting, and we should be discussing the liability of the town, nothing else. And I don't think I need to elaborate
It
anymore.
would be different to be talking about it as a town liability if Mike brought it up, or Andy brought it up. But you brought it up. You brought up this as a selectman. You were first as a resident. Now you're a selectman. It's a total conflict of interest. I don't see who can't see that.
All right, hold on, Tom. Tom Gray?
Yeah, Tom Gray. I was sitting on that board when the suggestion was made by a town attorney to follow it up, to do something about it. Once that is made, then it becomes a town issue. Once it becomes a town issue, the town is fully responsible and fully liable for anything that could happen once we know about it. So to sit here and say it's any one person that's bringing it up is wrong. This is a town issue, it's a town liability, whether or not anybody in this room cares about it, whether or not anybody in this town cares about it. The town knows about it, it knows that it could be a possibility of something happening. Until it's fixed, until it's addressed, it's gonna be a town liability. Which, if something does happen and the person wants to, they can come after the town. And I was sitting on that board when that was said.
Now, there is one person missing here too, and it's the code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
Michelle?
What is the town, why is the town feeling like it's a liability, it's a stone wall? on
Because
private
unfortunately,
property? I don't
Michelle,
understand.
unfortunately, they should have been a permit,
Yes.
but they wasn't. We do have permits for walls. It wasn't issued,
But nobody knew about it.
right? And that's where the liability comes to the town, unfortunately. I mean, I want the easiest solution all right, I want to promote business to town. I don't want to lose business, all right? There has to be a solution to, you know, I mean, I've already figured it out, unfortunately, what to do about the wall. I mean,
Go ahead.
the easiest way to do it, instead of hiring, you know, these big engineers firms to come in to see if the wall is structurally sound, which I know is very costly. The other solution, unfortunately, is to take the wall down to 4 feet and to loam it and hydroseed it and be done with it.
And who is gonna decide that it's done?
Our attorney.
The attorney's gonna go over there and he's gonna decide that the slope is
That-
good, that the runoff is sufficient, it's gonna have nothing to do.
Well, no, our
with
code,
mine.
our
He's not
code,
gonna
our
have a-
code enforcement will do that, Joe. Our code enforcement will make sure that, you know, after if you go the route to take the wall down, and loam it and hydroseed it, our code enforcement will make sure that it is, you know,
Now, I guess the next thing would be the cost of it. Who absorbs the cost of it?
I mean,
Property owner, just as it would if it's any other code violation. The person
But
that
how can
created
it be a code violation if there was no,
Yeah,
anybody saying that it needs
so if he's saying 4 feet.
a permit? So
the base
how
of
can
that.
there be a code violation?
Were they aware of the situation when they purchased the home?
Is who aware of it?
what's your name?
Buyers.
What did you say, sir?
Your son?
What did you say?
What'd you say?
No, to his question is who's gonna be liable, and it mentioned the homeowners, were they made known of this situation before they purchased the home? I mean, in order for them to become liable?
This is a commercial property, not a home.
You're talking about the garage?
Commercial?
You're talking about the garage.
Yeah.
I mean, I have, well, I mean, I can't speak for Tom. I mean, Tom Bashon is the one that did the wall. If something was to be done to bring the wall to a 4 foot, I think it would probably be Tom that would be willing to do this, but the town had so many opportunities to tell us that there was a building permit, or a permit, I guess, I keep saying building permit, but a permit for a retaining wall that nobody knew about. To now then say that I have to absorb the costs of bringing this down when, you know, it was never an issue, I don't know how we go on from there then. Not saying that I wanna take the wall down, or I don't wanna take the wall down, but there's gotta be some sort of a, you know, on both sides, I guess.
So,
I would have to get back to you on that, Joe.
I mean, right, that's-
so I also understand that there's been some resolution talked about with this.
so what do you mean?
About, you know, taking the wall down to 4 feet.
I mean,
And
we've,
right now, what we're discussing is the cost of it,
right,
correct?
we've said that, I guess if we had to do something, then I guess that's what we would do. But I'm not saying that, I wanna find out if we have to do something.
Dave,
Now, I know Florida more than New Hampshire, but in construction work in Florida, anything like this, whoever's doing that kind of work, they're frequently the ones that actually have to pull a permit, and they should know whether or not a permit is actually needed for a job like that. And if they don't pull the permit or discuss needing the permit, it tends to fall back on whoever actually did the work, not necessarily who paid for the work in the first place, but who actually did the work. So if you have a general contractor come in and do work that was below standard and they didn't do a permit,
Yeah, but
in Florida, you lose your license.
at the
for this
beginning of the
stuff.
conversation, okay, they explained that unfortunately there was no permit because our code enforcement officer didn't realize there was. So,
And
You
and
haven't
Mike
asked
was
the
in on
code
that.
enforcement officer that.
what's that?
We haven't actually asked the code enforcement
Well,
officer ourselves.
Mike was in on the conversation, not that part of it. Mike was in the meeting room with me and the code enforcement officer, and they looked into that code book, and they did not find anything.
Just a reminder that a single board of selectmen has no authority. It takes the entire board to make a decision, so just
Well,
as
there was no
residents, everybody
decision
has to
made,
remember
yeah.
that.
State name, please.
Yeah, I have a question. My name's Ed Fish. So did the code enforcement officer specifically tell you that you didn't need a permit, or did they just not find that there was any reference to it?
I don't know if he said you don't need one, but he said I've never issued one. So if we had come to him, and never will, if we had come to him and said, you know, in the court papers I have, our attorney asked the town code enforcement officer when this whole thing was going on before, earlier, and I can come in and show you to it, if you really need to see it. That he asked the advice of the town code enforcement officer if a gravel permit was needed. So, I'm sure, just like I said before, that everybody in the town knew this wall was being built. Everybody did. I'm sure the code enforcement officer did too. And we asked for a gravel permit. Now, if at that point, that should have triggered somebody to say, well, geez, you need a rock wall permit.
Okay, hold on. Larry Brown.
Larry Brown. I've had my regular song is process and standards. Several years back, when the landfill was being capped, about 1,000 yards of topsoil, with the knowledge and interest and participation of the town, went from an honorable person in this town to the benefit of the town, far exceeding the requirements of, I believe, 55E, which is the excavation and gravel permit section. So one question is, does the court case mentioned resolve the issue of gravel extraction without a permit? Has that issue been silenced? Is it now moot? The second question is, do we have a statement of hazard? By whom has that statement been prepared? What are their technical qualifications? And at whose cost has that statement of hazard been prepared? An additional question would be, does the standard phrase is, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Ignorance of the requirement to issue a rock wall permit, is that a failure of the due diligence of the town itself? And if so, and the wall has been constructed, to whom do the costs of removal, when a good faith effort has been made? I don't know, but those are the issues that need to be required. If any of the issues of this case have been decided by the court case that is being referred to by Mr. St. Lawrence, then that should become part of the record. And if if the slope of the land is within, I think, the 60 degrees that represents stability, there is construction or deconstruction taking place at a property, it's not necessary to mention, farther down on Route 125, which has been the slow and steady creation of flat commercial land out of a previous hillside. And again, we have been a small and courteous town,
Thank you, Larry.
and it would be nice to continue.
Tom Gray?
I guess the big question I have, if we knew we would talk about this tonight, if we knew it was gonna be put up first on the agenda, and we knew Brian Boyers was here when we walked in, why didn't we have him in here to answer these questions?
He was supposed to be here. What's that? I don't know. So, I agree with you, Tom Gray. There's one element missing here, and that is the code enforcement officer.
Exactly.
Well, and I'll agree with that, and what Larry said was kind of the point I was trying to get to, was this starts, I don't want to say starts, because it started back in history, but he's the key figure in this. I mean, I'm a homeowner. I don't know that I'd ask the question. I would come in to get whatever permits I needed, and I would get guidance from the code enforcement officer. And now, a year, 2, 5, 10 years later, if someone came to me and said, well, from the town, they said the lawyer said you need to undo what you did, I would be where Joe is. I would be, well, wait a minute, I went to the expert because I'm required to go to the expert, and I didn't get the advice I needed. Why is there a liability now on me to make it all right? Where's the town's liability in dispensing the advice that caused me to do it the wrong way? So, and has an engineer looked at this? Does the town have an engineer that can look at this? To say whether it's structurally unsafe or whether it's safe?
No.
But I have, in order to keep the rock wall, I have to get an engineer to come out. No, I don't have to get an engineer to come out. The selectmen get to pick the engineer to come out, and I have to pay for it.
I don't recall that saying the selectmen picked you guys. I thought
It says,
I don't know, I thought I remember reading that someplace.
One of the
the
options,
engineer will be, chosen by the town of Milton. Okay, you guys are the town of Milton, right? You speak for the town? It says it right here in the letter you sent them.
one of the options was that there would be an engineer chosen by the town, which is
Can you
what he
talk
said.
louder?
Sorry, one of the options was that the town would choose an engineer and send the engineer out and to take a look at the wall.
Now, this isn't to just check it out. It's not just, okay, oh yeah, look at the rock wall. It's,
Inspect.
and I've looked into this. It's not as simple as he's gonna come out and look at it. It's not. This should have been, he said, when there is a permit, it goes in like stages. It gets inspected. I mean, now you'd have to tear apart part of the wall to inspect it.
I mean, I guess it sounds like you're not too concerned about the wall coming down. If that's the case, I mean, an engineer should be able to go out there, I would imagine, pretty quick and make the call
No,
if
it's
it's
not that
good and
simple.
move on.
Do you know about it? Are you an engineer?
I'm not a civil engineer, no.
Okay. I've spoken to somebody that does this. I sent him pictures.
Well, it's a significant wall. I mean,
Now, again, back
And let's keep
to-
in mind, this fell down just over a year ago. We're forgetting that.
No.
You can
No.
actually see where it's been
You
rebuilt, the
don't know
different
your-
colors
you
of the
don't know
rock.
the facts. You don't. Tom can verify what happened and stuff, but that,
It doesn't really matter, we're wasting a lot of time in my
Yeah, we
opinion.
should-
we're wasting all our time and money, right?
We, have
Joe, if you don't mind, I have to do a little research. It wouldn't be fair to me to sit up here and just say,
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to do a little research. I have to talk to the attorney.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind,
I came tonight to tell my side. And it's different than Ryan's side. It's gonna be, you know, the stuff that's said between me and Ryan is he said, she said, or whatever. He said. I have some witnesses to things that he said, and I just wanna prove my, you know, I'm being accused, you know, and then just, I guess too, if back to like, if, you know, to resolve something, it doesn't have to be like tonight, but what, and I don't know if this could even happen, what if, since is the town willing to use some of their equipment to offset costs to, if we were to bring this wall down to something?
Again, I'd
We're
have to,
starting to get into a resolution. We're still missing a key person here, which is the
Yeah.
code enforcement officer.
yeah, I don't know if we could use, unfortunately, I don't know if we could use town equipment because, you know, it's actually using taxpayers' equipment to take, but, you know, we have to talk to the attorney and, you know, it wouldn't be, I couldn't give you a fair assessment, right, you know, it would be unfair of me to sit here. But let me look into it, ask some questions, and get back to you.
Andy,
Fair.
Tom?
Thomas McDougal. I've got, what I basically heard was, the gentleman came, asked about the permit. Granted, it wasn't, do I have to have a rock wall permit? He asked about a gravel permit. You think that's part of the question? Okay, whatever. That's gone. It sounds like to me that there was a failure at the, and I don't know what Brian said, but at the code enforcement level, because he obviously wasn't notified he had to have a permit. This issue they talked about was, what Ryan has brought up, is liability to the town. I have heard nothing about how the town's gonna fix this, because if it sounds like this could be a systemic issue, a systemic problem, what is the town going to do to address so that I go to say, hey, I need to put a change the roof on my barn, and they say, oh, you don't need a permit, and then come find out 2 years later I do. Is the town going to be willing to invest in any additional training, sending? It sounds like to me, I'm hearing nothing about the getting to the root cause of the problem. Everybody's concentrating on Mr. St. Lawrence wall. It sounds like to me there's another level of problem here that you need to dig into.
Yeah, that's what,
That's what Andy's gonna be.
that's what I
Yeah.
just said I would.
No, everything I'm hearing is you're talking about the wall.
No,
I'm not hearing anything about, let's figure out where the breakdown has happened. Was it a permit? Was it all the information wasn't given? All I'm hearing about is we're going to talk to the lawyer about the wall. We're going to look at the engineer. This deals with this issue. This doesn't talk about a systemic thing where, and it almost sounds like to me this issue's being picked on for whatever reason when maybe, okay, we got something here. How about if the board takes a step back and says, hey, we've got something here, where else might we have another issue? Instead of focusing in on this, take a step back and figure out where else there may be an issue in the town dealing with permits. Because if this is such a big liability to the town, and the town's been issuing permits for 10 years, how much other liability is out there that we don't know about? From a town point of view, I believe that if this is such a big liability to the town, the board needs to step back and examine how permits are given. If it's such a big liability, I think that should be done.
So I won't get into details, but there are cases very recently that code enforcement has actually fined people from not getting permits.
And that's not getting a permit, that's not, this looks like
With
a
this
permit
same
should have
type-
been given,
He has the
and
floor, hold on, Brian.
it wasn't. It looks like to me that the board needs to step back and take a look at the entire permit process. Don't focus on this particular case, which sounds like is what's happening now. You brought up, we have a liability to the town. Great. We don't want the town to have a liability. Take a step back and fix the underlying issue that causes liability. You just said there's a number of other permits that we can't talk about. That sounds like to me it's a systemic issue, a systemic problem. Take a step back, fix the root cause of it so you don't have these going forward. How you fix them,
Existing conditions, I don't know. Give him a permit after the fact. I don't have any idea how you fix it. But don't focus on this thing. Take a step back.
We had 2 steps to
Root
eliminate the
cause-
liability, and then you're saying also, well, you go back and look
it's
at.
basic root
to
cause
prevent it.
analysis.
Yep.
What was the basic problem that if you don't do this, none of this other stuff happens?
David?
Thank you.
Just real quick, it's like, I'm partially also confused by these statements when I've heard where requests for, do I need a permit for this? Do I need a permit for this? There were 2 times that the code enforcement officer was asked, do I need a permit for? One time, maybe the words were misused, but one time it was, do I need a gravel permit? And one was, do I need a rock wall permit? I have a farm. I have rock walls all over the place. They're all this high. No, I'm not going to expect I need a permit for that. Nowhere in there does it seem like somebody asked the question, do I need a permit for a retaining wall? Which is a very different thing from a rock wall or a gravel permit. It's like, so it seemed there's plenty of blame to point if you wanted to point fingers, but it seems like the wrong question was being asked initially in terms of, do I need a permit for X? What was asked for was never a retaining wall, and I'd go out on a limb and bet that the code enforcement officer, if he was asked the question, do I need a permit for a retaining wall, would have said yes. He wasn't asked for that, he was asked for a gravel permit and for a rock wall permit.
All right,
Good, Tom.
we had someone over here.
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry.
Lynette?
I'm going to go back even further, and that is, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna try to sew this up here, because we're missing that one person that can answer some
That's
questions.
you,
here.
Ryan, and that's and I feel like it's a conflict of interest. You being on the board and these things that are being discussed, why couldn't they been discussed while you were still not on the board and taking care of them? Because since then, you've brought it up, and it sounds like it's snowballed, and now it's at the cost of the town, possibly. It sounds like, I'm sorry, a conflict of interest.
So the town attorney is being.
Yes, that's what I
accused
mean,
and-
exactly.
So I guess
And I like you, don't
My
get me
point
wrong,
is-
I like everybody, it's just that,
I'm
I
not.
Hold on,
think
Tom.
this is an abuse of a power.
Go ahead, Tom, if you want.
I'm
All
sorry,
right,
do you like
okay.
an answer?
Yeah,
Okay, so
This was.
Hold
I
on.
need an answer, please.
He's
all
about to
right.
answer.
Everybody, hold on, one at a time.
This was brought up before Ryan was on the board. This was answered by a town attorney before Ryan was on the board. We were given advice on what to do, and nothing happened.
Okay, so then why didn't anybody tell anybody else?
you'll have to ask them. I wasn't on the
All
board.
of a sudden, Ryan's a selectman, and we get a letter saying, from the town attorney, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that where this is headed. Now, I don't know why he ran for selectman. I have a pretty good guess why. And you can talk to,
So why don't we stick to the subject
Right.
and not me?
Well,
somebody else brought it up.
It's been made personal.
Who signed that letter?
Ryan Boyers.
And what
He's
was
not the town attorney. You said it was from the town attorney.
Says-
That's the code enforcement officer.
Right. But, okay, so,
What was the point?
You said
yeah,
it was from the town attorney. It's not. It's from the code enforcement
okay,
officer.
the town attorney was advised on writing this, correct? The town attorney is involved in this,
Town
right?
attorney's involved.
So
That
the town
was one
attorney,
person.
there's a copy to the town attorney, so I'm sure he knew, you know.
He was in, I'm not saying
I'm
whether,
sure
but
he
that's
did,
from the
you
code
know.
enforcement
I-
officer.
Mhm.
Elected to dodge the bullet.
Tom?
Tom Vashon, to address this guy. When we came in here, before this ever started, we come in, through Brian Boyer, and said, what do we need? we're gonna dig this banking out, we're gonna extend the garage, and we're gonna put a retaining wall to hold the gravel, because the reason it was being dug out, 60 years ago when the building was built, all that dirt came down, and it was halfway up the back of the building. So you can't just dig it out and leave it, because it'll do the same thing. And we did ask, what do we need for permits? And at that time, Brian had said, you don't need one for a rock wall. He used rock wall, we used retaining. There again, you know, somebody just didn't get the communication.
Right, so I can hear some of the
It's
breakdown
back to
right
the
now.
same thing. But the other thing he brought up, that the contractor should be liable. Joe was the contractor. I was helping Joe. You know, I didn't get paid for this job. I was doing it to help Joe. So I wasn't a contractor that needed to know all of this crap. If he didn't get told what he needed, and somebody come along in the meantime, because it was a 4 or 5 year process, the section wall next to him has been standing since 2011, 12, somewhere in there. And then the other section was done a year or so later. Because it turned to winter, we couldn't dig it out because of the frost. That's why there's different colors in the rocks. Because the other wall had been up for a couple of years before that center section was finished. And it still comes back down to Brian either not understanding that we needed a rock permit or not. He was there several times while it was being dug out. He was also there when the wall was being built. So if there was a problem, all he had to do was say something. And it could have been fixed at that point. Once it's all done, then you come back, oh yeah, you gotta have a permit. Well, why wasn't that the problem? Because we're not gonna go in and build something without a permit. It had to be hot top and everything else. So we went in to find out what permits were needed. Dirt permit, paving permit, building permit, whatever it was. Rock wall permit was not part of it. Can't do any more than that.
I would encourage anybody to turn in a right no request to view that permit, because you can see exactly what they asked for when they did that. I don't have it with me here, but I do have it at home.
So again, like back to the conflict of interest, how does he's got all this, he's ready for this.
So
He's been.
I'll address that right now.
This isn't, you know.
The conflict of interest, there's no decision being made on the board right now.
Okay.
I don't see how there's a conflict of interest because I'm looking out for liability of the town, strictly liability of the town. That's all I've gone after. That's all I would ever go after sitting in this seat.
But you would have.
And all
told me
these
a piece
other
of
accusations that are being made are absolutely ridiculous and untrue. I mean, the people put me in here because they want honesty and transparency from the Board of Selectmen. And I'm going to be upfront and honest with the people. This came from the town attorney when it was first brought up, and it was one of those things that fell through the cracks and was never addressed. And me
So
knowing
how
the
did
town
it-
has a liability and doing nothing about it is not doing my duty as a selectman.
So it fell through the cracks, who found it? When it fell through the cracks? Who looked for it?
All right,
Wasn't me.
just, we're gonna kind of sum
Bob,
this up.
Bob Bridges has something to say.
Well, no,
Oh, you-
over here,
It's 7 o'clock.
yeah,
This all needs to be stopped and tabled
Yeah.
to do your meeting.
yeah.
To do the opening of bids, we
Chairman?
don't have.
Bob, we don't have any bids.
I'd like to know who's running this meeting. You are for the crowd. I mean, it's jibber dabbing back and forth, and you're just sitting there letting it go on. Half the people can't understand what's going on. You know.
Well,
This agenda was put out last Thursday, so everybody knew that this was on the agenda. Brian was standing out there just 10 minutes before the meeting, why didn't the selectmen say you're required to be in here? And why ain't you? I guess my other question is, Ryan, you and I had a conversation before the election.
Yep.
And I specifically asked you, is the problem you had with garage the reason you're running for the selectmen? And you said absolutely not, it's finished. And then I find out, did you not contact the town attorney and ask him about this letter that you had? And that's how the town,
What letter did I have?
the one you, last meeting, you're saying, read what the attorney had to say, liability, liability. You said it, I don't know how many times.
Yeah,
But
because
you
I had
should-
asked the town,
There
attorney
you go, so
that-
there's a conflict right there.
if the town had any liability. That was all I asked. And he said yes, and I just brought the issue forward.
Yeah.
And that isn't why I ran.
All right, moving on. We're gonna, and, no, we're all done with questions. We're gonna let this one lay. We're gonna, pardon me?
I'm leaving
Okay,
because I'm part of the property owner down here, I'm part of all these properties. And it goes all the way back to Labrie owning that land, and Spalding Fiber and the railroad track. And the shifty work they did then, when they moved the railroad track up and started shifting all the property lines.
all right, thank you. I'm not gonna have any more conversation
good.
on this.
Feel
Thank
free to
you.
call me.
Thank you.
So we'll look into,
Yeah,
we,
okay.
we'll look into this and we'll get back to you.
Yeah,
You know, it's gonna take a little bit.
okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks.
Thank you everybody for your time.
Okay, next on the agenda, moving along, is a Wakefield food pantry proposal.
Thanks for having me. My name's Howie Knack, I'm president of Wakefield.
Hold on,
Wait
You
a
have a
minute.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, do you have a
Oh,
public hearing at 7?
Oh,
Or did that
for the-
get
It'll take 5
yeah,
minutes.
okay,
No, we
yeah,
have to-
that's all right,
that's
I'm
the
sorry,
first
yeah. We don't have any
We don't
bids.
even
We don't have any bids. so
I'm
no.
sorry, my mistake, we don't have any bids for the fire station.
Don't we need to open it and close it though?
We do need to open it, we
Okay.
do need to close it, but we have no bids.
All right, Mike, so I'll open up the meeting to open up the bids.
Okay, I'll second it.
Ryan?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we have no bids, I'll make a motion to close it.
I'll second it.
Brian?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the Wakefield food pantry proposal.
Be me, Howie
Aye.
Knack. I'm president of Wakefield Food Pantry. This is gonna be a lot more enjoyable, I think, than the last time.
Yeah, try to put you in a happy place.
Yeah. Mickey works with us down at Food Pantry. We've found ourselves in a situation where we have extra, the ability to serve more people than we currently are. For 2 reasons. One, our numbers are actually dropping a little bit. We currently serve Effingham, Wakefield, and Brookfield. And we decided, because of those numbers going down, plus we're in our 5th year of our new building. And the distribution process goes so much quicker than it did when we were in the old building. So at the last board meeting, we decided to reach out to 2 of our neighbors, Milton and Newfield, Maine. And I'll give you the same proposal I gave to Newfield. We would like to offer your residents to come on Wednesdays between 10 and 1 and 5 and 7, those that need it and qualify. We qualify based on USDA guidelines and use our food pantry. If, based on the usage, if people even come, I'd come back sometime and ask for some type of donation during budget season. I'm on the Wakefield Budget Committee, so I know whenever you do your outside agencies. But again, we've got the time, we've got the ability to serve more people, and I understand you don't have a food pantry here, so we said, let's offer it. And then if something happens and it works out to their benefit, then we go back and talk again. One other thing I want to bring up, because I said you publicized it, and I wish you would. We can also do takeover, something Newfield we talked about. If we've got individuals that are homebound, we have the ability, I was making, to have boxes delivered with food in it for those people. Those are the ones I think are getting left out of the process because they have no means to get there, and pride. Some of it's just pride. We found that when we moved to 1500 Wakefield Road, which is where we are, that all of a sudden our numbers of our elderly increased. because they didn't like being downtown Salmonville right by Lino's. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we'd like to make that offer to you. And no commitment on the selectmen's part, I'm not asking for any money. I just want to try to serve some more people.
Absolutely. Of course, I live in Milton, and I went up to Wakefield originally to actually pick their minds, because I wanted to eventually get something down here that we would have our own instead of going to Farmington or there. It's I found out it's way, way, way too big an organization for me to be able to get something down here. But the second thing, the best thing, talking with Howie and with his board, they made it clear that they would let us come up and use their facility. And I'm telling you, since I've been there, they are the absolutely one of the best food pantries in New Hampshire. There is no question. And I know our people are using Farmington, which is fine too. But I would love to see them come up there, because it would be such a benefit for the families.
3 days, 3 meals per person. That's what we do, emergency food pantry.
It's no, when they come in, it's almost like a grocery store. They can pick what they want. It's not a question of going in and getting a bag and leaving and not knowing what they have till they get home. It isn't like that. It's totally different. If any of you would like to come up and even look at it,
Yeah,
believe me,
more than welcome to. Just give me a call.
please be our guest, because we would we'd love to show you around. I think this is a win-win situation for Milton. I truly do.
You know, I was thinking, you look at Milton Mills. I mean, they're only probably 6 miles from the pantry. You know, so. But everybody's welcome. We want to be able to. We don't like people going hungry. That's our philosophy. Is a hunger-free community. That's our vision. So.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank both of you guys for extending your the warm welcome to Milton.
Yeah.
And I'm all for it. And
yeah, we'll see what happens. And like I told the selectmen in Newfield, maybe nobody will come, but let's try to make the offer. And I think the key may be the elderly that can't get out. And right now in Wakefield, we do 10 deliveries every Wednesday to either disabled or elderly. It's a big banana box full of meat and vegetables. Vegetables we get for Hannaford, and we also have a community garden in the pantry. So those are starting, the fresh vegetables are starting to come in now. So, but any other questions you got, I'd be more than willing to answer.
yeah, well, Larry has a question.
I knew Pam Fraser out of Brookfield. Sorry to lose her. Always heard good things from her, from what you were doing. Would you please specify again where you are and if it is on the transfer station side or the garage side?
We're actually between the state highway garage and the town highway garage. Right between them, one acre of land.
And what endorsement from the town, if any, is necessary for someone to come up and use you?
Nothing. Not now. If I come back and ask for some money, maybe, but no. The only thing they have to do is qualify. When I say qualified, I mentioned earlier, USDA sends us guidelines for how does an individual receive food at this pantry. Well, we get USDA food every other month. And it's not the old cheese bricks like we used to think when we were kids, but it's actually food.
It is.
But there's an income level, if you get fuel assistance, if you get any help from the state, you qualify.
What can they bring with them to make it easy?
Easy, bring so if I get fuel assistance, you get a letter from TRICAP, bring it in. If I've got food stamps, EBT cards, bring the letter in, not the card, the letter. If you don't have to do, the only income you got is Social Security, you qualify.
Is there a phone number they can use?
Yes, 522-3094.
522-3094. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
How would you recommend we get word out to the? Because I'm certain not many people are watching our Center Lady TV here on YouTube.
I was thinking that too. What Newfield is, one, they put it on their website. One, they spoke to the ministers and priests in the churches. The church is probably your best bet to get people to come. That's what we did in Wakefield. We formed the board in 2014, and Pam was one of the original ones, Pam Fraser and I.
And of course, your welfare department too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she was actually supposed to be here tonight to.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping she would, but I heard she's leaving.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes.
But, those are the ways I think the churches have been, to us, the biggest one. And if the churches want, and if we start getting people, we also get a lot of food from the churches. We specify staples, cereals and, stuff that we need every week,
Okay.
And it's basically just got to start with word of mouth more
Yeah.
than anything else.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll-
The people in
we'll get
need
it
will
up
go
on
through
our-
welfare anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it this way. The town of Wakefield, Arlene Bog is our welfare officer. Somebody new comes in, are you going to the food pantry? No. Go there and then come see me. Because we give them food, which saves them money. So.
Go ahead.
I have a question. I know that there's a group of, I think they're PTA members, who are doing the end 68 hours of hunger
Right.
for the kids. I mean, why the kids don't have food, who knows? Is it because the parents are spending all the money on
Whatever.
other things? I mean, what do we do? I'm
Well,
wondering about them.
We don't, well, we've got two programs going. One for Effingham, where we got a grant to provide that in 68 hours during the school year. 5 years ago, the social worker at Pulse came to us and said she's really worried about the kids that get free lunch now because they get breakfast, lunch, and snacks. So we got a grant for $10,000. So starting next week, actually, because it's the end of the school year,
Yep.
we give a $25 gift card per child for Level 8 Market in town that can only be used for WIC guidelines with a couple modifications to help supplement that summer program. Effingham actually is open, the school is open, and they have breakfast and lunch there, but Paul School doesn't. So, and I gotta tell you, one of the concerns they have right now, I told you about the growth in the elderly. Well, this year compared to last year, the under 18's been 33% higher under the 18. We get a lot more kids coming in. So we're trying to do everything we can. We're open to new programs. Just so you know, we have 75 volunteers. That's over 1% of the population of Wakefield. So.
Do you have any handouts or anything?
I didn't bring any. We don't have any handouts.
We don't have any handouts, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something we
But
might
that's
have
something
to
maybe, you could make up, say, did you know? If you're eligible, you can go to Wakefield, 1500 Wakefield Road.
Okay. We'll definitely get it on our website. Thanks so much again.
Yeah. And I'll come back and let you know, I'll give you an update on how
Thank
it.
you. Hopefully it'll work.
Yeah.
We love
That's the thing we want to feed people, that's what we want to do.
Coming in.
That's what we want to
We
do.
like nice stories.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Nice to
We do too.
It was really nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming in.
Good,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Nice
I
to
will
see
let
you.
Nice to see you too.
the people know.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Please,
Thank you.
let them know and hope
If you have any questions,
And thank you,
message,
guys.
call me, I'm at 522-3097.
Okay, next on the agenda, the acceptance. We have multiple resignations. The first one I'd like to announce is the resignation of Barry Carr's resignation to the Conservation Commission. I'll read it if I may. Hello, Dana and Cynthia. Since I started my new job with new increased commitments for the NHF, would be Fish and Game Commission, I have to inform you I must resign from the MCC and Casey Road Subcommittee. I have been delighted to participate for the past year, and if I can be a resource for you to help out from time to time, please don't hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Barry Carr. So I guess I'm gonna need a motion to accept the resignation from Barry Carr.
I personally hate to do it because he's a great,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
a great asset. Funny too, but that's beside the point. So I'll make a motion to accept Barry Carr's resignation, unfortunately.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The next resignation. Which one are we officially using? Oh, okay, it's Claudine, yeah. Okay, so next one is from our welfare director resignation. Rachel Shipman. Dear Town Administrator and Board of Selectmen, I am writing to notify you that I am resigning from my position as Welfare Director from the Town of Milton. My last day of employment will be June 23rd, 2017. I appreciate the opportunities I have been given during my time with the town and will be able via telephone if necessary for a couple of weeks past my final day. I wish you and the town employees the best success in the future. If I can assist with any transition, please do let me know. Sincerely, Rachel Shipman. So I'll need a motion to accept Rachel Shipman's resignation.
And again, I'll accept her resignation. I just want to say that Rachel was a huge asset to the town of Milton. She's brought the welfare department to where it is today. It's run like a fine oiled machine. She will be sorely missed. So again, I'll make a motion to accept her resignation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Another resignation, this one from Claudine Burham. She is the Assistant Recreation Director. So, dear Heather, I regret to inform you my decision to resign from my position as Assistant Recreation Director. I would like to take this opportunity to say that making this decision has been difficult. As working with the Town of Milton and Department of Recs and Recreation, it has been a positive experience and one for which I am grateful. I have gained such experience and enjoyed working with those involved with this position. I am available to assist Karen Brown with any questions or information during the preparation for Camp Three Ponds between now and then. Camp begins on June 26th, 2017. Sincerely, Claudine Burham. I'll need a motion to accept Claudine's.
And then, again, I'll make that motion to accept her resignation. Claudine, she was a huge asset to the rec department. She was Karen's right-hand woman, and she will be sorely missed. And it's going to be hard to fill her shoes. So I will accept her resignation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Can I make a recommendation that you accept all these resignations with best wishes and,
So said.
So said, yeah. So next on the agenda,
what?
We didn't hear you.
We can't hear you.
I said I made like a recommendation that they accept these resignations with best wishes and regret.
Well said.
next on the agenda is the warrant for unlicensed dogs. Same thing, right?
Yep, just
Okay. So, to the Milton Police Department from the Board of Selectmen, subject is the warrant for unlicensed dogs. Pursuant to the New Hampshire RSA 4666:14 entitled Warranted Proceedings, you are hereby directed to proceed forthwith either to collect the fees due to the town of Milton to be turned over to the town clerk, or seize any unlicensed dogs for holding in an appropriate holding facility pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 466:16 entitled Returns. You have until August 31st, 2017 to return this warrant with a statement as to whether all unlicensed dogs in the town of Milton, New Hampshire, have been seized and held under the provisions of this chapter, and whether complaints have been entered against all persons who have failed to comply with this provision. Milton Board of Selectmen.
So my question, Michelle, is how many do we have?
As of 4 o'clock this afternoon, we had 209 unlicensed dogs.
209?
We average 190 every year, and usually the same 15% don't license their dogs. And we're wasting taxpayers' money to go and make sure we do license their dogs.
Here's a list for you. Here's a list for you. Here's a list.
That's a lot of dogs.
It is a lot of dogs.
That's probably why we're discussing it, right?
Did you see those dogs?
So anyways, I'm not gonna.
Who's the animal control officer, chief? Do we have one?
We don't have an animal control officer. It'll be handled by the patrol officers, so we will take the list, we will issue out citations, and the officers will go door to door and issue citations to all people on the list who have not licensed their dog.
So in a holding facility, where would you bring them?
If we were to seize people's unlicensed dogs, they would
Yep.
go to Cocheco Valley Humane Society.
I see.
Well, that's certainly.
Your house.
Yeah, that's certainly something that we do not want to do. So, please, people, we don't want to seize your doggies. Just pay the the licensing fee, and let's just.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Okay, so
Unfortunately, the process for this is once you guys sign that warrant, my officers will then issue citations. If the citations aren't paid in 15 days, then a warrant is issued and we go and serve a warrant where they have to show up in court. So the process for the man hours that it's going to take for the police department, and that we're going to unfortunately take our police officers off the street from dealing with other things other than dogs, can be astronomical for the number of man hours we're going to spend on this.
And the same with my department. The man hours and the postage fees that we have to put up to send these notices out is ridiculous.
So, do you have any solutions other than come and pay your unlicensed dog?
I tell you, every year we add something new. This year we started calling early. We've done emails to people saying, don't forget to come license your dog. We put it on all the Facebook pages. We put it at all the post offices, in the town halls. We're getting the information out there.
Mm-hmm.
People just aren't doing it.
Mm-hmm. Do you plan on getting a animal control officer?
At this point, no.
No.
I mean, the biggest issue we have in town for animals is this, and then every once in a while we may have to transport a dog. But the good thing now is Michelle's office and the police department work very closely together. So
Sure.
when we do find a stray dog or we do find a dog running at large, we're able to look up the license very quickly and return it back to the owners, so we can keep it at the station in our kennels for a very short period of time, get it back to the owner quickly, saves our officers from driving to Dover, saves the residents from paying the $50 fee that we pay to Cocheco whenever we drop a dog off there, and then it saves the animal owner from paying the pickup fee, the transport fee, and the fine for the dog running at large.
All right.
Tom Gray has a question.
I have a quick question.
You go first.
Go ahead, Dave.
Does statute specifically limit what any additional fines and pricing? In other words, people aren't doing it. Will they be more likely to do it if it costs them a lot more money?
Oh, it will cost them a lot more money now.
But like I've looked at what's on the website in terms of the explanation and the fines, and I'm like, it's not. You mentioned $50 for Cocheco. I'm assuming they have to pay for that, or do they not have to pay for that?
Well, the contract the town has with Cocheco, for Cocheco being our holding for stray dogs and for dogs that may be injured, the town has a contract with them. And every time we bring a dog in, the town pays a $50 fee for that dog.
That's why I'm wondering is whether or not maybe the paperwork and the flyers and stuff need to be very much clearer in terms of, okay, if you just do it like you're supposed to, it'll cost you $25. If you don't, it's gonna end up costing you $125 or something like that.
Our letters do address us, and our emails address that. They'll pay either before April 30th, or actually before June 1st. They pay either $6.50 for a dog that's been fixed, $2 if they're a senior and it's their first dog, and $9 for this dog that's not fixed. And in the letter it says, if you wait until after June 1st, it's very possible, you're gonna get an additional $25 civil forfeiture fee, a $7 processing fee, and a $1 per month late fee, yet they still don't come in.
That's where I was going with it is, when it gets to the warrant serving and the police officers actually having to spend time, can we charge them even more to help compensate for the cost that it's actually costing the town to do all of this work?
I can't charge more than what state law.
That's why I was asking, does state law mandate a maximum that we can actually
It's
charge?
a violation, so technically, once it gets to the court, the judge has the right to sentence them up to $1,000 fine. But at violation level, so the likelihood of, normally in dog fines, it's usually what the town ordinance dictates is what that fee is. Right, but the town has to adopt that ordinance, and we have.
Thank you. All right, I'll need a motion
No,
to,
Tom has a question.
No, that's all right. I kind of wish I didn't let Dave go first, but that was basically the same question I had. No, I was going to ask, is there a way to assess fees? And that's basically the same.
I need a motion to,
But with this being said, though, I'll give you the motion,
Okay.
but I just want to let the Milton taxpayers know that unfortunately, this is the New Hampshire RSA. This isn't town of Milton, so, I just wanted to make sure, because that was kind of a question earlier today, and this isn't the town of Milton. This is actually the state of New Hampshire RSA's. So unfortunately, it is what it is. So with that being said, I'll give you a motion to
for the board.
actually, so the motion is for warrant for unlicensed dogs.
For the board to sign it.
For the board to sign.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
I know my poochie's all set. My wife made sure of it. Yes.
Okay, next, we have the review of the town-owned properties to determine which are appropriate for future auction. I didn't realize we had so many of them. Yeah.
Other things, so I just wanted you to review
Yeah.
it.
So is it the ones, because you've highlighted them, but now it's come up, is it the dark?
Well, it's different. It's town use. There's some of the darker town use. Cemetery obviously are not town use, but then the vacant ones. So you need to go through it and see. And then there's notes and description.
So which ones is the ones that we tax deeded, or that
The
we've had
light-
for 3 years?
The light ones.
So it's vacant?
Vacant.
You can't hear a word you say.
Okay, no, so I was just asking, I'm sorry. I was just asking Heather on this paper that she's given us, which properties that we have tax deeded and that the town has had for 3 years.
There's the dates right here, Andy. These
yeah.
are the ones.
So that was my question to Heather.
What I would suggest is, and what we've talked about is maybe you taking a ride around, looking at them, and just verifying that you want to go forward with the auction on those properties, and then coming back at the next meeting and verifying so that I can move forward with turning them over to the St. Jean auctioneer.
So a road trip.
A road trip. Take a little ride around town. And there are a couple that I know might be occupied, so don't hang out in the driveway too long, or the chief may get called. There's a gentleman that's got his hand up.
Hey, John.
Question. There's a dwelling on Plumbers Ridge that we discussed, and we put it on hold last time we had an auction. It's on map 22, lot 19. And it was it was taken off for the last time we auctioned off because of contamination. And now it's been cleared of that. And my request at that time was to evaluate that to see if it makes sense to use that for other purposes. And if it is okay with the board, I would like to develop a small group to review this, to move the Plymouth Schoolhouse over on that lot for historical value for the town of Milton.
You said map 22, lot 19?
Correct.
It's the blue house.
Yeah.
First page about
Yeah.
3/4.
It's the blue house
the
up
blue
there,
house.
you can't see it, it's all grown up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on the end of Bowman Road.
I mean, of course, I appreciate everything you do, John. I mean, so who would be responsible for the removal of that? How would we go about?
Again, I would, like I suggested, to develop a team
Yeah.
and report that back to the board on
Yeah.
the cost of taking down, disposing of, versus moving the schoolhouse over there. The only reason why I suggest this is we're really in trouble on historical places in the town of Milton right now, and I'm going to do that on public comments because of some issues that are coming up. But I really believe that the way it's set now, the schoolhouse, and you're all aware of where it sets, and where it sets is what you see for land. That's no more. You can't park, you can't do nothing. We tried to do that one time with a tour 3 or 4 years ago, and it was a big issue because of the traffic and unloading people and loading them. We use the school system buses and everything to do the tour. And it dawned on me, and it's been questioned by a lot of people since that place closed, would it make sense to utilize that land now that it's town-owned to generate funds in the future for historical value, like the Milton Townhouse is a good example. And the library now that's coming right along.
So, I mean, I think it makes sense to look into it. I mean,
What you're looking at 2.64 acres, which would be a perfect spot for parking and probably other activities as well as the school. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the schoolhouse is, a lot of original stuff is still there. And it really, really is probably the biggest historical building we have in the town of Milton. And it has an awful lot of history to it, and I could take some time when we develop a team and read you the total history of the building from start to finish.
Do you think it'd be a fair assessment to put on a warrant article and ask the towns?
Again, that was on my mind, Andy, to do that with a committee and then bring back and present what we come up with, and then we'll all work together as a team and make a decision. I'm not saying it's the right decision.
Right.
I'm
No,
saying
I'm
we'll
just trying to throw
evaluate.
some ideas out.
Yeah?
I'm just trying to throw some ideas
Sure.
out. I'm on board with you.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just thinking maybe put on a warrant article and
Yeah.
let
In
the.
fact, I'd like to have you on the team, to be honest with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really would.
I'll take you up on that offer. I
Okay.
appreciate your offer.
You're on the top of the list.
Thank you. I bet I am.
Bob Bridges?
The only thing I have, and I agree with John, that we've got to do something up there. But we're taking, 2.5 acres of land that it could be on the tax map, and putting that on that, and then we have a little chunk of land that you can't put anything on except for a picnic table. It doesn't seem like economic sense to take something that big off the tax maps for that building. Yeah, John, I agree, it's gotta be done, but not necessarily on that piece of property.
Michelle?
I actually appreciate John's idea of having it up on the ridge. I live up on the ridge, and there are a lot of historical buildings up there. To me, it just makes sense that it goes in line with all the rest of the buildings we have.
Larry Brown?
Thank you, yeah. John and I go back several years on this. I was the tour guide when we had the school bus going up and down the ridge. And Plumbers Ridge, as a residential community of historic buildings, is under attack by commercial development. Plumbers Ridge is written up in a book called Big House, Little House, Back House, Barn, as still having about a half dozen examples of the traditional connected farm barn architecture that swings in an arc from Maine south to this area. Rachel Pugh always hoped that the schoolhouse across from her would go up to the Farm Museum. And that was an original discussion point before we became concerned about encroaching development taking advantage of the poverty of the Milton Ridge Sewing Circle and developing that little tiny parcel as a pre-existing building lot and blowing it to hell, pardon my French. Moving it across the street makes it accessible to school children. It preserves the intrinsic historic nature of that historic byway and brings more reasons. If you think the wonderful work that is being done by Marie for the old Horn House, which was the origin of the, I will call it, charter for the separation of Northeast Parish, Milton, into the town of Milton. That is a wonderful area, and there is more value to it as a destination than one more nameless suburban ranch.
Thank you. Chief, so mentioning children being on that, at that facility now, on that road there, do you think there's any issues with the traffic on that road? I mean, it's still 45 miles. So usually in schools they have signs warning slow down, and you think that might?
That wouldn't constitute as a school zone, it's a historical building.
Right, but you still have children there.
Right, but it wouldn't constitute as a school zone, so we wouldn't be able to ask the state to decrease that speed limit there.
Sure.
Unless we ask the state to do a speed study in that area and show the dangers of decreasing the road.
Did that cost the town anything if we?
Would it cost money for the state? Yes.
No, for the town.
To have the state do a speed study?
Yeah.
No. To ask them that question? No. Do I believe the state would have enough facts to decrease the speed on that section of the road? Probably not.
No.
We've asked them in the past to do a study to decrease the speed in the 50 zone. They didn't have enough statistical data to be able to do that, and I don't believe they would in the 45 zone either.
Would you think that from your department it would create any more work for your department?
If cars were parking on the northbound side of 125 where there's no shoulder and no breakdown lane in front of that building, yes.
Yeah.
We would have issues with people coming around the corner and climbing the hill because they'd have to cross over the double yellow.
Yeah.
If they fixed the shoulder, if we got the state to fix the shoulder and the culvert there, and there was an area for cars to actually park on the shoulder, maybe not. But right now, cars can't park on that shoulder.
Right. I'm sure John is with the committee or a group of people would come up with all the answers for this too.
Well, it's the same status as the Farm Museum as far as it's nothing to do with school system. It's
No, I just said there were children.
yeah, there will be children just like the Farm Museum. That's what I'm saying. It's very similar. The only thing there is absolutely the way it is now is absolutely zero parking. Well, there's always an action that's going to cause if you do anything.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll evaluate it. I guess all I need is approval, and it sounds like I'm going to get it. And we've already got one new member, so that's good news.
Dedicated new member.
I mean, a lot of... Devin.
Devin?
So if anybody can make this happen, we know John can make it happen. It'll probably be better than any of us could ever imagine. So I think it's awesome that he's volunteering to do this. And I know the fire department would love to use that house for training in the meantime.
Prepare it, right?
Not necessarily to burn it down. We might be able to if we get the permits, but we could do some unbelievable training over the next few months.
What an event.
Yeah, just
here we go.
We could do so much with it.
John,
sign the entry committee.
You're on.
If they approve it.
Yeah.
I'd like to move the question and have them approve it.
Yeah, so what do you guys think?
Yeah,
Okay. So where is that on here?
Right here.
Okay, I just want to make sure let's wait, highway.
Yep. 2219. And then
Okay. Yeah,
1121. White.
Yeah.
We need some documentation. Map 22, lot 19.
No, I got it right here.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
And I've got the index sheet if you need it.
Nope. All you need is my motion, John. Okay. So, with these guys, both these guys' approval and myself, I will make a motion to have booking page 3893, page 791, map 22, lot 19. It's 1121 White Mountain Highway, to have, I guess, John, to move forward, to move the schoolhouse up to
look into
look into moving the schoolhouse up to this property.
Develop a team and a group and discuss it and get back with you gentlemen.
Okay.
Put this property on hold for
Yeah.
auction until the
Okay.
results come back from the team.
Okay.
Committee?
Okay. You do that.
All right, I have a motion on the table. Larry?
Sorry, and just one more thing. This could, depending what happens, turn out to be, with the interest in old-time ox pulling, the kind of event which duplicates and creates the old-time ways in which houses were moved in Milton. One of which I understand is still down X number of feet in Three Ponds, when it didn't make it all the way across the ice. It's just wonderful teaching history.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so I'll second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
John, I'm interested in being on that team as well.
Thank you.
Just, if you guys.
I mean, a lot of these, if you look, I mean, there's some of them are landlocked, and some of them are landlocked, and some of them are like a half an acre. I don't even know if they're buildable, but I guess I have to take a ride and look.
Just to point out, if you both are on that committee, you'll have a quorum of the board.
Yeah, we know. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We could go one day and
You're out, Ryan.
Ryan goes
All right.
the other day.
We'll figure it out. It's down the road anyways.
Still gonna skip this next one.
It's not, you guys have to figure out what you're gonna do with it. I don't know what you wanna do.
What's that?
This one right here. It's right here.
Oh.
So what do
I'm
we,
gonna table it.
where are we ending this?
You're gonna go for a ride.
We're gonna go for a ride, and next meeting is our goal to
Yeah, we
come
take a
back
ride
with our
around town,
suggestions.
look at these properties,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, we're gonna skip the next one for the RFP for right now. And go right to reported 91A violations by a selectman and suggestions, ideas for improvements.
All right. Am I all set?
Yep.
Okay, so I put this on the agenda. My intentions of bringing this up is because I want to work as a team to move forward, but I don't see this happening unless we make some changes as a board. I strictly bring these concerns up because with the intentions to benefit the town. These concerns are based off from facts and observations I've made over the past few months. I bring these concerns up because it's very, very important for the Board of Selectmen to be transparent and honest with the residents of Milton. I'm going to start with the last Board of Selectmen meeting on June 5th. The non-public session at the end of the meeting was a complete disaster, and the minutes were never sealed. Some things that happened during this, conversation came up about the slip of the reserve number for selling the fire station during the public session. When this was brought up, this was slipped by you, Mike, and you stated you didn't care and you could say whatever you wanted. From that, we moved on to the town administrator discussion, which was not properly done because no information was given to the town administrator to prepare in advance for what was going to be talked about. The agenda request was created by you, Mike, and all it said on it was TA. The town administrator did all she could do to try to ask for additional information ahead of time, to the point of actually engaging the town attorney. The town attorney advised the board what needs to happen for us to talk about the town administrator. She needed the information ahead of time. There was still no response from you, Mike. And this was completely ignored, and you continued with the meeting. On several occasions during this discussion, which it got heated at multiple times, I continue to bring up the fact that we were ignoring the town attorney's advice, and we also were violating 91A. At some point during this heated discussion about the violation of the right to know law, RSA 91A, Mike, you stated that you really didn't care that we were violating the right to know law. And you've talked about the town administrator before like this previously, and you're going to do it again. Also at the last meeting during the town of, talking about the town of Milton Cemetery, you stated that you didn't read the information ahead of time. I think it's very disrespectful for a resident who fills out a form and asks to be on the agenda and gives us all the information to look at ahead of time and not reading it. At a recent budget committee meeting, another case where non-public information was released about the bookkeeper before the town had even sent out any letters. Another instance is when the reading of a town attorney's email word for word without a vote from the Board of Selectmen to release. On several occasions, the town attorney recommendations have been ignored, to the point where we received a letter from the town attorney today that he's resigning. He's resigning due to concerns that if the Board of Selectmen continues going the way they're going, he's not going to be able to protect the town. We all make mistakes, and it's going to happen. However, when a mistake is made, we need to recognize it, and we need to learn from it. Mike, my concern is you don't seem to really care when you make a mistake or someone tries to help you to point you in the right direction. I do not see that these actions are acceptable for a chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I feel the board has given you a fair shake at it, and it's not working. We need to make a change. For all the previous reasons I mentioned, I would like to make a motion to remove Mike as chairman and appoint Andy as chair. Do I have a second?
Well, before anything, let Mike at least have
Respond.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, the I don't cares, those were words of anger. It's been no secret that there's been a great deal of tension on this board between myself and Ryan. And I've had plenty of time to think about this, and it needs to go away. We need to reunite the board move the town forward again. It's meeting after meeting of nothing but attacks on each other. And I'm going to throw the towel in. I'm not going to attack anymore. My goal now is to work as a board. Okay, like you said, mistakes happen, but mostly it was out of anger. And I can't let that interrupt my job here as a board of selectmen to do that anymore. So I guess there is some element, I don't often say this, but I'm going to have to apologize for some of my actions, but that's where I stand now. And that's my reply to that.
I'm not really lost with words. I mean, I took an oath to, put the best interests of the taxpayers. And, I love being a selectman. I like, moving the town forward. It doesn't seem like it's happened in the last 2 months. We have a lot of work to do here. I mean, I could just start rambling off projects. And it needs, we need to put our differences aside. And I have no idea what your agenda is, Ryan. I have no idea what Mike's agenda is. But I have an agenda. And my agenda is to do the right things for the taxpayers. That's why I'm here. I'm not here for me. I'm here for the 4,400 people who live in this town. And that's what I took an oath on. And, I want the board to be able to work together. It has to happen. All these, little, it has to stop. So I don't know if it would be a fair assessment, Ryan, to let Mike stay as chair, and let's see if we can, do the right things and for the taxpayers. That's why we're here.
So
The added extra work to doing this job, quite frankly, I don't like. I actually don't like this position as chair. I thought I would, and I don't. It's more work than I have too much going on as it is. So in all fairness, for me to be more functional, I think I could be more functional sitting in this seat or that seat, and I would second that motion to have Andy be the chair. All in favor?
Well, I want
No.
to appreciate,
Aye.
Mike, everything you've done for the town.
Well,
And I appreciate working with
I
both
think
of you guys.
Pat, I like Pat's focus. He had to come to the meeting one time where he had heard a lot, the things we do wrong, the things we do wrong, the things we do wrong. Pat came to a meeting one time and put it in another light. What about all the things that we do right? Seriously. So I think this is the direction we all should be going right now. You agree?
Totally
I
agree.
I think that's
Okay.
the right decision for the town.
Yeah, so it ends tonight.
And I just want to end one more thing to clear up the town attorney mess we're in. I called Jim this afternoon after receiving that email from him, and he said that he would remain our town attorney if the chair position changed and Andy and I asked him to come back. So I don't know how you feel about the town attorney situation. I personally think we have way too many things going right now that the town attorney's involved in, that if we try to change town attorneys, if he resigns, I think we're really gonna be in a mess, because I think we're gonna have a hard time getting another town attorney, because there's only so many attorneys that deal with towns. And I mean, when you get a town attorney resigning, that's not a good thing. So I think we really need to hang on to Jim because we have way too many irons in the fire to try to transition to another attorney.
No, that's fine. I've already discussed that with Heather anyway, so.
So you two will call him?
Sure.
Good. So I don't have to.
And I appreciate you, Mike, everything, like I was saying.
Yeah, I just, you know what, I don't, it's not me. Anyway, but it has to go both ways too. We have to work together.
Oh, most definitely, and like I said, we have a lot of stuff going on in town, and it's not about us.
And this is just, we're not moving forward, efficiently. This way.
Yep,
So
I agree.
Candy Rose. Somebody? I don't know who's going to
Well, I'll finish the meeting, all right? Okay,
I don't know who's
go.
Can I suggest we try to have some kind of team building activity? Please?
How about a group hug?
I draw the line.
Come on, guys.
Now, hey, for the record, I like both of these guys, and this isn't about me, anyways. And I think Mike clearly has stated, where the problem was, and he's going to move forward and fix it, and I think that's great. I mean, his heart's in the right place, and I think he does a great job. So, I'm happy that everything is going to work out. So, moving forward.
Okay, so we'll make it official. Thank you, Andy Rawson. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
No camera.
I know, where's this picture? No, but if we could do some kind of team building workshop, maybe have Jim or somebody come in and do it, maybe a right to know workshop or something, I think it would be good for all of us.
Yep.
You guys agree?
We can do that with really all the departments.
All the department heads.
Sure. Yeah. We normally do anyways.
We could do something this summer like a cleanup day.
Yeah,
I'm working it.
Okay, if I may.
Point of order. Now that you voted, you have to swap.
Sure.
It's your meeting from now on.
Thank you, Bob.
So you can finish.
So, we are at the approval of the minutes. So, could you do that, Mike?
Sure.
Thank you.
If I had you have a copy?
I got a copy. You don't have a
Okay.
copy? I gave 2 copies.
Must have left it on my desk
Okay.
or something. And I have read them. These are for just the June 5th, 2017 minutes. Have you both guys read these?
I did, and I have one minor change.
Where is it?
On page 5, under the selectmen's comments, where the motion was made. Unfortunately, about something we talked about a lot tonight, but I think it really needs to clarify the address and the property we were talking about. So it says Ryan Tebow and asked. It should say Ryan Tebow asked the board if, and then go to the second line, get rid of this, the matter at 254 White Mountain Highway to keep things moving and eliminate liability to the town.
So it was just left out?
Just left out, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we want to accept the matter.
Okay.
Oh, take that too.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll accept the, I'm asking
Peg
for.
has some too.
Okay.
Hi, it's
okay.
my grammatical
Go.
change.
Yep.
First page.
Yep.
The last line under Lou Snyder.
Yep.
Friends of Newt will be ACCEPTING, accepting, not accepting.
Okay.
Please. Sorry. Teacher's coming out in it.
I'm glad.
You sure?
Yes.
Yeah, she's right.
means you don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're leaving that one out.
Yeah.
ACC
Food.
means we're taking it in.
Mhm.
We like it. We want
That's the
it.
school in you, huh?
Grammatical, Mike. I know you like that.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I will make the motion to accept the June 5th, 2017 minutes as amended.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have
I need that copy. Yes. I need the copy with the changes so I can get them done.
So we wait for the amended,
You
the
can-
amended,
You can sign that and I'll make the changes if you give me the changes to make, and then I'll just put them in the book.
So it's really just those two.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
address
just give you the
and
last page.
So, and I know how to do these corrections.
I have one of the changes right there.
Yeah, good.
And I wrote the, well,
So,
Stand back.
so next up is the expenditure report.
you're on.
You got anything on it, Heather?
We're still working on fixing some oddball things. It's, there was a long time we did not have somebody sitting in the bookkeeper's seat, so we're finding that there are things that just aren't the way they should be, and we don't know why. But every week we're puddling away with Joanne and Vanessa, and they're really making a difference, but we're really working hard to try to get them where they want to be. I need more eagle eyes looking at it. I know Sean was working on some of hers. Pat was working on some issues Sean was working on finding some things in your expenditure report, and she was going to get them to me. She was supposed to get them to me this week. But everybody, I think, Chief got all his done. Michelle got hers done. So everybody's been poking away at it. I think the fire department's all done. So it's all the departments. We've been closely trying to get them all taken care
Even
of.
the mileage too,
On which one?
the police department.
The
Which one
mileage,
is it?
I thought it was taken care of in the police department. Was your mileage taken care of?
What's the matter with our miles?
Your mileage was not attributed to the right line because it was all put together in one lump sum. That was the only one.
Similar to the fuel line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the fuel line, yeah.
Yeah, fuel
Yeah.
was the issue. I
Yeah.
didn't think we had an issue with our mileage.
Well, the WEX,
No.
the WEX card issue.
That's the fuel.
Yeah.
That's not, that is not the mileage.
So where are we with the WEX program? We usually announce at the second meeting of
The month.
the month, the savings.
Well, I asked our new bookkeeper and our finance director Friday. Our new bookkeeper had a very big day Friday. Her daughter graduated. And so they had cut it kind of short on Friday, so they didn't have a full day Friday. So we will have that for you next meeting. But it was a big day in their family life, so they were just focusing on what needed to get done, frankly, on Friday. But they will have it for you.
Okay.
So
This is the document I'm going to be taking tomorrow night.
I'm going to ask for some more. I'm going to talk to tomorrow. I will check in with you if that's
All right.
okay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, so by the sounds of it, you've done a lot of updating,
We keep doing updating, yeah.
so this should be almost correct.
Almost correct. I know I want to check with Sean tomorrow just to double check with her. That's the biggest department I'm worried about at this point.
I think I cleared them up in March or April at one point. I'll just check the last one.
Check the last one because I know there was both.
I had some in March and April that I corrected. I believe we just got the end of May's just recently, so I need to finish going through the three of them.
In the last few days I've been working with getting some final pieces done for the audit. We should have that in the next couple weeks done. They need a couple more minutes and we should be done with that.
So, like, not to pick on the police department,
Of course.
but no, I just opened it up to PD, and here it says PD miscellaneous minus 11,000 year-to-date expense, but then it says remaining 11,000, and then it has a bunch of where it says percentage used
Number
has a
signs.
bunch of number signs. and 1 decimal.
That's the motion the board made when we got the money from, the insurance money from the Humvee. The board made a motion to put that money into my miscellaneous line so we could update the antennas and the hard
Okay.
router systems in our cruisers,
Yeah,
so we
no.
weren't having drop issues.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, okay. Nope, you're fine.
Which, to give you an update on those are going in the cars over the next 5 weeks. My cruiser has it, the pickup truck has it, and over the next 3 weeks, the other 3 cruisers will have it. So
Is it-
the top hat thing looking on the front of my cruiser is a new antenna. And I can tell you that we have no drop services anywhere in town now, whereas before we were dropping service. Every place you would drop your cell phone service, our cruisers would drop their service as well. So now we have no drop services with those new antennas.
Good. Okay, perfect. I just saw that, kind of like... All right. Are you guys all set, Mike?
Yep.
Yep.
So I'll check in with you, Mike, tomorrow, just to make sure you're comfortable before you go before the budget committee.
So administrative comments?
I got a couple things I want to talk to you about. Like I said, we're going to work on getting the handbook ready for you for July. I want clarity from you about the IT bids I want to have a workshop session, and the reason being is there's been some confusion or questions about how we want to do the various bids we have for the work, for the IT person to come in and give, or the 4 different bid people to come in and give you the presentation on the workshops, or their presentations that provided bids. My thought was to have a work session for them to come in and give you a presentation, because I know you wanted them to come in during a regular meeting. To me, it makes more sense to do it on a workshop than a regular meeting, so they could come in and do their presentation as opposed to a workshop. And I was looking at the calendar. July is kind of a funny month, because the first week when we normally would meet, as you know, we're not having a meeting first week because we're closed on the 3rd and the 4th. There's a lot going on here. So then that brings us into the 10th, that next week. I will be on vacation that week, if you guys don't know, so you're on your own that first meeting in July. So then the question is, did you want them to do it, maybe have you come in on the 17th and do a work session that night? Which was my thought was, or not. I don't know how you want to do that, but that was see if I could get them to do that night.
Whatever's good for these guys, I'm good.
I think we should keep it separate from a select
Regular meeting, yeah.
For sure. And then, didn't we talk about, we have bids for the service, and then sending out something for bids for upgrades, right?
I think that was part of what the bids are, and they could talk about that as part of it. That's what I need to know. What do you want me to have them do?
I mean, I think it's, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's two different things, right? The service, and then what do they recommend we need in town hall for upgrades?
Yeah.
So it should be 2 separate,
2 separate times you want them to come?
I don't think 2 separate
No,
times, but 2
yeah.
separate quotes. A quote for
Right.
upgrade of hardware, and then a quote for services.
And just an explanation on the 2 different quotes and why, you know.
The chief's got his hand up.
Have you guys built the scope of work yet for these people to be able to give you a quote so that they can come in and be able to give you a presentation? They're gonna need a scope of work of what you guys are expecting before they can even put a presentation together.
Yeah, well, Heather...
It's in their bids.
It's
but-
in their bids.
But it's
Full scope of work on replacing equipment and what equipment needs to be upgraded and things like that. Because you can put a scope of work together for their service plan of what you're expecting, but you can't expect them to give you a quote or a valid quote if you don't have the scope of work, what they need to do to that server, the age of your computers, all of those types of things. They can't do any of those and give you a meeting
Well,
if they're kind of
hasn't
wasting your time.
Hasn't each company already came in?
Each one did come in, except for one. Each one, so they did come in, but to be honest with you, they all gave us different ideas of what they thought needed to be repaired or replaced. That's the
Yeah,
interesting.
but them talking to us about what we need is like talking Chinese to us. We don't know what we need when it comes to that really technical stuff. Maybe we need someone who understands that.
There was a suggestion by one of the IT people to have somebody else evaluate what the bids are like, a third party, and then look at it, and then give you a recommendation.
We almost need that third party to write us a scope of work
Yeah.
too, I think.
Do you want me to call the third party?
Yeah,
I think that would be a good idea. Call the third party, see if they can, what they would put together for a scope of work.
yeah, because we need to,
And then we'll have to go from there.
Who's running this? You have a hand up.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm just listening.
Since the last meeting, another alternative option I thought of, other than the third party being another company that doesn't do that anymore but used to, is the actual state. Can you contact the actual New Hampshire state government, find out if they have an IT person that could review the contracts as well. That way you could even keep it within have somebody evaluate it specifically from a perspective of municipalities that would know requirements for government and stuff like that, and which bids seem more appropriate for those, for government, not just general IT work.
I could check with LGC, but I think it would vary by town, the size of the town.
Right. I mean, we're not using the chief's IT guy.
He put in a
We
bid.
could, huh? Oh, they did. One of them didn't though. Was it the chief? Was it the fire chief?
He put in a bid
They put a
too.
bid in too?
I think we have
No,
4
they-
bids, don't we?
And you got one bid there, one bid there, one bid there, and one bid was the same person that does the scoreboard. So your 4 main people that already do IT related stuff related to the town are all part of the bid, so you're gonna have to go outside of.
One outside.
Yeah, we'll find
I'll
somebody.
find somebody. I
Yeah.
can find somebody. All right, so I'll get that. That's what I'll
Go
work
ahead,
on.
Matt.
I actually know an IT guy. He set my website up. He does it full time. He has no relation whatsoever to the town of Milton. If you guys want his phone number to call him, he'd be more than happy to come down, I'm sure, and talk to you. And he will break it down Barney style, so that way everybody understands it, because I don't understand any of that crap either. And he'll take care of it and fill you in
Mm-hmm.
on a human level versus a computer. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll get his number from you on your way out. Go ahead.
Larry Brown, there are 3 questions that you can ask, and the first question is what Rich is talking about as the scope of work, and this question is, what do you want when you're done? And the second question is, what exists when you're asking what the ages of the computers are, and then what doesn't it do? And those questions,
Yeah, well,
those 3 questions
Yeah.
will.
those 3 questions have been asked.
Then
Most definitely.
then you do have an answer for what you want when you're done. You will be able to provide each of your vendors with a list of the equipment you have and its ages, and you will have a clear and exact list of the defects of the system in use.
There are things that you can pull down from the internet that'll give you all that, and you just have to fill it in. It's really simplified.
I mean, I think
I've done it before.
we're still having issues. I think Michelle can speak to the fact, even today, we're still having problems at town hall.
I'm still having printing issues since Friday with online banking.
No, I mean, I want to move forward here. It's just.
Time
Just
sensitive.
understand is, for those of us who do not know computers and are waiting for some kind of a resolution to happen, it's very painful.
I'm sure. And this is one of the projects that we have in the fire, and I want to get it behind us. I'm sure we all do.
Okay, so I will work on getting this together. So should we plan on trying? Is July 17th a reasonable day to try to plan this for a work session?
I mean, can you?
I can get it together.
Can you get it any sooner?
I can try, but it's just trying to get everybody scheduled on the
Because
same.
now we're another month out.
Yeah, I'll make some calls and see, but I mean, to try to get all four, work on it.
How about next week?
I'll ask. I'll see who can get in here.
I mean, even if we could do 2 and 2.
Chief.
Why don't you do a workshop with the board next week? Get your scope of work done, get all your age of your computers and all your equipment done. The three of you can do your workshop, figure out what you're actually looking for and what you want completed, then bring the people in next month.
Okay.
But we already know that though. We already know what the inline
You may
issue.
know it, but do you have it on a document that you can give all of these companies that says, this is, so when we put the server into the police department, I sat down with my IT guy, said, this is the scope of work that I need done. This is the age of my server, this is what I needed to connect to, this is the data I needed to back up for, and this is what I needed to do to connect to the system at Stratford County. So he already knew everything because we sat down, gave him everything, we gave him the age of all of our computers, and we gave him, he knew our old server because he built it. But we're making a big change by going everything in-house to everything now at the county. So he had to make a lot of different changes, but he could give me, from my scope of work, he could give me everything back on what it was gonna cost, how long it was gonna take to do it, and all the equipment that we were gonna need to do to upgrade that. And that's what I'm saying here is, we don't have an IT person in-house looking at your server saying, okay, I'm the IT guy that built this server. These are the things I need to replace to make Michelle's printers work correctly, to make the town administrator's office computer work and connect the way it's supposed to make the laptop that the town purchased connect to the system when it walks back into the building. Those are all things that the IT person needs to know. It'd be no different if you guys gave Pat a project to, you want Dawson Street or you want Charles Street to end right here. You want it to be a dead end. Well, Pat's gonna ask you on what you guys want to do. You're gonna give him a scope of work. He's then gonna build the plan and come back and give you the plan. Right now, we're just asking the 4 IT people to come in, look at the system for 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe even a half hour, and figure out what they can do to fix it and give you a quote. If I'm that IT person, no offense, but I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna look at this system without knowing ages, and without knowing a lot of it. I'm gonna look in the system, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna give you a very high-end price, because I'm going to wanna change most of this stuff here to what I know works. And I know that, so for my IT person, I know the fire department's IT person, and you know government, and then the school's IT person, they all know the government system and what they have to do to put into the system, so that's not gonna be a question for you. Because, I mean, my IT person passes the CGIS requirements, so that's definitely not gonna be an issue for you guys when it's the government based. I'm guessing you've done research on the CGIS requirement. Those are things that are required and are gonna need to be there for you guys. But if you can't tell them what you're expecting from that server, they're not gonna be able to give you an actual accurate quote. So I think we need to have it written on paper, what you're looking for. And if the server's 9 years old, then you may have to replace a large amount of that server. Not just, okay, we can come in and fix the internal system. You're gonna have to spend some money and replace the physical server itself. And that can be done many ways. They can do it remotely, they can do it with boards, they can do it with a complete server as is out there. That's what you guys have to make a decision on, how you want it done. So if you're gonna tell the IT people that you want, yeah, I want the server rebuilt and I want the server to be redundant and have 2 separate drives and things like that, they can do all those things and give you a quote for that. But if you don't give them anything in writing, they're just gonna give you an open-ended quote. And unfortunately, you're gonna get bit in the long run when they come in and start building it and tell you, yeah, it's gonna cost $8,000, and they get their fingers in it and it's gonna cost you $15,000.
Right. So where are we at? Where are we at, Heather? Because we've had this discussion.
In terms of what?
In terms of the IT guys that have come in.
They've come in, they've walked around, they've told us, everyone's given us different ideas of what we need.
Yes.
And then now we need to just nail them down. I mean, I can't go into exact prices because obviously that would be reasons why. The issue, I think the only problem I'm going to have is a lot of what we have here was built by our current IT guy.
But I think what the chief is saying is, we still don't have a scope of work.
No, so we gotta get that together.
I mean, they've given us ideas, but we need to sit down
I think we need to
and
say, this is what we
decide,
need. We need to map out exactly what we need
and then ask them to requote.
and requote it. I mean, I know what I think we need, but I think we need to get that going. And I
And if
think,
you look at the quotes, you'll be able to find commonality in the 4 quotes.
I think they're pretty, I went down and looked at least 3 of them. They're all pretty similar.
So you
So
can
why don't
go
we have a
through-
workshop to do
You
that?
can go through them and pull out the commonality, put it on there, then look at the stuff that's different between all of them.
Yeah.
Do a little research online, and you'll be able to figure out which ones are going to work for the town and which ones aren't.
There's-
And then you can ask that specific vendor, okay, you have this different than every other vendor.
Why?
Why is this good for us and why is it worth the money? That'll give you your questions to ask when you actually physically bring the vendors in. But it does give you your full scope of work because you took the common items out.
yeah, they're all, if you look at what there are a lot of similarities between them.
Right. All right, so David,
Yep, and to be totally clear, like, for example, on mine, it was just the maintenance, the regular maintenance, I did not put in that because of exactly what he said. Depending on what you want, it can be between as low as maybe $3,000 to fix everything to $50,000. Until you narrow down that scope, if I had to give you just a number right now, it would be at the $50,000 range because I don't want to lose money because you end up adding in a bunch of stuff that you decided you wanted as things were progressing.
all
All
right.
right, so why don't I work on that tomorrow and give you guys a call, email you.
Okay.
That work?
And do we
What-
want to have a workshop next week?
What
too?
days are good for you next week? What nights?
Any night.
Mike? What is it? Up in the air?
Monday?
You're off camera.
Yeah, keep it on a Monday.
Okay, Monday?
Monday? Okay.
What time? 5:30?
36?
Yeah. I can't make
5:30.
it any sooner than
5:30
that.
would probably be
Okay.
good for everyone.
All right, 5:30 Monday, we'll have a workshop.
Yeah. And then we can just talk about IT stuff. The other thing is, speaking of IT stuff, there was one other thing I had for, we have a bill from DJ that we did not pay. It goes back to the 91A issues, and Jim Sessler said he wasn't gonna pay it because he did not feel that DJ did what he was asked to do. So then DJ sent the bill to us.
Can you speak up? We can't
Yes,
hear it.
okay,
You just say-
sorry. There was a bill that came from the 91A issues back last winter, I think it was. And the bill was returned to the town. Jim Sessler had sent the bill, said DJ didn't do the work that was asked to do, and the bill then came to the town. This question is to the board, what do we want to do with that bill? Now the bill has come to the town. Do we want to pay it? Do we not want to pay it? Where do we want to stand on this?
Where you guys at? I know where I'm at.
I know where I'm at. You want me to go ahead? My personal opinion is, if the work that was supposed to be done wasn't done, why should we pay for it? I don't think we should pay it. That's my take on it.
Link?
Jim ordered the work, right? So let him tell him he's not gonna pay it.
He did.
He did.
Yeah, to DJ?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then,
Yeah, so I don't know, it came to us, but, so I mean, I was gonna write a letter, depending on how you guys said it, and say, please refer this bill back to Jim, because it wasn't from us.
yeah, 'cause he's the one that ordered the work.
We didn't ask for the
Quite
work.
frankly, it's kind of a gray area because it was
Right, but we didn't ask for the work, he did.
correct.
Okay. Can you vote on that? So I'm good?
You want to make a motion, Mike?
Good. All right, I'll make a motion to refer the IT bill from our current IT guy back to, have him return it back to Jim Sessler for payment.
and they can just decide.
They can work it out.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a question just now for you for the July meetings. Like I said, I will be gone the second week of July. I just wanted to clarify, a lot of towns sometimes will meet once during July. Are you gonna hold both meetings or just one? I
We'll
didn't-
close the first one.
You closed the first one. Well, actually, you were scheduled to meet the 10th and the 24th. Do you wanna hold both or do you wanna?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are okay by yourselves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Appreciate it.
Who would like, do you want me to see if I can have
Yeah,
someone
no,
sit here?
going once a month is not enough.
That's not enough, but I
No.
just didn't know who
The
meets it.
workload is that big.
What's that?
I'll see if I can get someone to sit here.
Yeah, that's fine. So we're gonna have a workshop next Monday on IT.
IT, just IT.
Yeah. Now, is there any way from that Monday till, I mean, you're saying to go, I mean, can we get any IT guys?
Let's see what I can find out.
Okay.
I'll work on it. I don't know. I know one might be available, but I can't guarantee the rest.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Heather? Selectmen's comments? Mike?
Yeah, if you're the chairman, you should read that.
So, this is a letter from USDA. Congratulating, this letter is your official notification that the USDA Royal Development Funding noted above has been approved. We are pleased to assist with financing the new ambulance. The RD funding is subject to the conditions stated in our letter of conditions dated May 8th, 2017. Executed copies of the Form 9040-1 requested for obligations of funds are enclosed for your record. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Ann Getchell of the Conway Area Office. So,
Just the letter congratulating us that we got it.
Yeah.
This is the second page is what we signed at a meeting prior.
Yeah.
Right on the back of that first page,
okay.
right there.
Yeah. And that was for the sum of
Two summers.
of $19,600 for community facility grant and $14,100 for the economic impact initiative grant. So, thanks a lot, guys. It's huge. I appreciate all your hard work. Anything else, Mike?
I don't have anything now.
Okay. Ryan?
Just one minor thing. At the last board meeting, when we made the motion for Milton Mills Cemetery Association to be able to sell lots, I think we really wanted to say Milton Town Cemetery now, because it's no longer the Milton Mills Association.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to correct that, so it'd be
Okay.
correct on the book. So I guess I'll,
You want to make a
do I
motion?
need to make a motion to rescind last?
Yep, okay, sure.
Do I, is that how I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
I'm
how you do
asking.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to rescind our motion to allow Milton Mills Cemetery Association to be able to sell plots.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now I'll make a motion for the Milton Town Cemetery to be able to sell plots.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Are you sure?
I'm sure it's been a tough meeting, but
Yes.
let's put it all behind us for the next one and move forward. That's
No, the only
my
thing
last
I
comment.
thank you. Thanks, Ryan. The only thing I have is I just wanted to thank Karen Brown for all her hard work and Claudine on the opening day at the town beach. They had a good turnout. The boat races were nice, and I just want to thank all the facilities who went down. Pat Smith had some equipment down there, and the fire engines and so forth. And I just wanted to give kudos to Karen Brown for all her hard work for the town beach.
Mike brought some.
And Nakoma for his
Oh.
goats and geese and
in Nakoma's little farm.
yeah.
That was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to thank her for all that, and I look forward to a new resolution here for the board, and moving the town forward is very exciting. So, and that's really all I have. Mine. So up next is public comments.
I have one thing.
All right.
Fred Karen, can we come up with a speaker system for this hall? so we can hear?
Okay.
We didn't hear half of what you said.
I think we have some more money left in the video equipment line that we can look into.
Okay.
So could you
Okay,
look
Fred,
into
we'll
that?
look into that. You got your main man right there, government buildings. He'll take care of it for us. He can't hear me.
Michelle?
Okay, Michelle, I'm sorry.
I actually have 2 speakers downstairs that you guys could probably have. They used them for the old town meetings.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll look into it, like our good friend Pat there. Oh, John had his hand up, then I'll take you. All right, go ahead, John.
As I said earlier, I was going to give you an update on historical. And I've got some copies here that you can go through as I read it.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Just one.
Wow. Nice.
Got me one too?
Okay, the reason why I'm bringing it up at this time is that I got a letter from Stratford Regional Planning Commission, and the local region planning entity for Stratford County, Nottingham, Northwood, Newmarket, and Rockingham County, and Brookfield and Wakefield and Carroll County will hold this annual meeting on Thursday, June the 22nd, at Frisbee Memorial Hospital from 11:30 to 2 o'clock. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is that we've mentioned the word team several times tonight, which I like to hear. I think if you go down through the list that I handed you with the orange line up top, this group put this all together in the last 2 years of all historical, recreation, and scenic sites on the scenic byway. The ones I got marked on the left-hand side with a green mark, I'd like to have you take a few minutes to go through them, page by page, and I think you're going to get the same thing that I'm seeing coming if we don't start paying attention. I'm hoping that we can get back on track on a lot of these so that we won't lose the scenic byway. And it's critical right now as far as I'm concerned. The first one I put there was the Milton Leather Board on Mill Street, map number 2, is listed as historic. That don't need to be, I don't think, any more investigation on what I'm pointing to on that. And maybe it shouldn't be on there. The next page is the Three Pond Dam and Park. Now that we've made changes on Route 125 for businesses, we now have a problem with a place to park, sit, and eat lunch, and there's no place to park a car. If you look at the picture, because of all those cars that were on the main street before are all parked over by the dam, so you can't get to the park. I'm not looking for solutions, I'm just sharing everything with you so that you'll understand what my concerns are on historical for the town of Milton. The next one is a Wendell Brown House. That's a historic site on the scenic byway, self-explanatory. The next one is across the Milton Townhouse, the Milton Town Palm, which is listed as a historical on the map number 12. We've discussed this last year. We just haven't got to it because of funding to fix that pound.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is On House, which is a safety issue the town had. I took a picture on this building. There was a safety issue in 5/4/2015. This house is the site of the first blacksmith historical place in the town of Milton. Unfortunately, it caved in on 5/5/2016, and by the 10/16/2016, it's gone, it's demolished. So that's a site that's probably going to lose. And the last one, and there's more than this, by the way. I only covered one little quick area, just so everybody got the same idea that, that I have in my mind, that we're gonna have to start paying attention or losing a big value for the town of Milton. The Jones Brook Park, which is under conservation easement, Route 125, Milton, it's on map M20. It's listed as a natural, scenic, and recreation. It's closed and barricaded off and all grown up, with a sign missing on the pole there. Now, I don't want to detail any of these, like I say, but I'm just sharing with you the things that I think we need to take a look at for the historical value of the town of Milton. The scenic highway is very critical to us.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
So, I mean, how would you want to move forward, John? I mean, as a board and as, because you have a scenic byway, you have a board of people, right?
That's correct.
So how would you want to move forward?
I don't, the state does.
What's that?
I don't, the state does. They call it the Stratford Regional Planning Commission, which I'm involved, Suzanne Brown's involved. There's a whole group of people
Okay.
out of Wakefield, Milton, that's involved with this.
Mm-hmm.
Spent several hundreds of hours on it to get this list together,
So where I was gonna go, I'm just taking this one, like the Jones Brook Park.
Yeah.
I mean, would that committee move forward on, restoring this park
No,
with
no,
volunteers?
We the town. The Board of Selectmen is a good place to start.
Okay. All right.
This list was put together by a whole group of people, and they've worked very hard at it for the last 2 years. To get this down, they've taken traffic surveys and everything to check the amount of traffic and all that, so. All I'm cautioning and letting the town know, mainly the town fathers, that we need to take a look at this and start talking about it, if nothing else, because, we can start taking some of these off that we see that we probably can't afford to do, or whatever the reason would be,
Mm-hmm.
but it's gonna hurt us in the long run.
Okay. All right, no, I mean, I think it's a great project, and, no, I mean, I totally agree with you.
I'm going to the meeting Thursday. I'm hoping that they don't ask me for any presentations or anything on the total route of the scenic byway. If they do, I'm not gonna expose this, that's for sure, but I would like to be able to say the good things, the townhouse, the library, and all the other stuff is good, so.
Okay.
Which are all on that list too, by the way.
All right. Thank you, John. Hold on one sec, Tom. Our friend Larry Brown did have his hand up.
There are a few things I wanted to mention myself. The meeting on Thursday, lunch is $15. Will involve presentations by LCHIP, Historic Preservation, on the interface from Stratford Regional Planning Commission and the history of the area. And there's an old proverb that if you don't know who you've been, you don't know who you are. The
Right.
Byway Committee is up and running. Suzanne happens to be on it. The selectmen have already given their stamp of approval. I think Annie McKenzie is also on it from Milton. And they have been meeting on a regular basis. And it has been, the word is synergy, added energy from one group being involved. There is the Trails Association, which is now operating up on Plumbers Ridge, And there is also a Moose Mountain area group, Moose Mountain Area Alliance for development of tourism. So there are a lot of things going on that way. The committee is functioning. Milton does not have a representative to Stratford Regional Planning Commission because we don't pay dues. I'm the rep to the Technical Advisory Committee because that is mandatory by the structure of federal money coming down. But John is right. If you do not maintain the qualities of a scenic byway, you lose the designation, and you do not have the major economic driver of tourism coming in to the beyond the bay segment of Route 16. So that's just a follow-up and compliment for John. There are about 4 things that I want to mention. Last one, very serious. The others, not so. First, please mention, when I get done talking, volunteers for the move on 4th of July weekend. We still need them. Are you doing that, or is that moved to a different date? Carpet?
For the
4th of July
work to
weekend?
be done here?
But I think we're all set.
We're all set.
You're all set,
Yeah.
okay, good. Secondly, thank you very much for continuing to use Jim Sessler. He has been just pragmatic, thorough, and calm. Thirdly, I want to remind this group who were not up on my roof of what an extraordinary person as employer and worker Mike Bolio is. His standards for construction, his treatment of his work staff are exemplary. He has hard standards and does not always do well with the stress of those responsibilities. I thank him for his work. I would like to tell this group that conflict of interest only exists when there is a particular and personal gain that attaches to the individual. Right now, we have 4,000 troops that are going into Afghanistan, going back to 2002, when President Bush first sent our troops there. You do not shoot messengers who bring the liability of the town to your attention. And I thank him for that. Last thing, almost last thing, just a very, very quick. The largest glacier ever to break off is now the size of Delaware, and it has the potential to raise the ocean 4 inches. And my thought is that perhaps the selectmen wish to support the science and technology that has made Milton a green leader in municipal solar power, if you're not that fond of the Paris Accord. The last one, more serious. And I just want to remember, for the record, the work that Nancy Johnson did for the planning board, for the ZBA, for the cemetery, library, and as state rep. She had a heart that was always eager to do good, and one that was easily bruised by circumstance that not everyone understood. She no longer has to face the darkness of the winter. And she was my friend.
Thank you, Larry, and I apologize for your loss of Nancy. She was,
It is a town loss.
yes, well, I was just gonna, thank you. I was just gonna honestly say that she was an asset to Milton, and she'll be sorely missed by the whole town of Milton. And I appreciate you bringing it up. Thanks again. Tom?
Yeah, I just was gonna make a comment on a couple of the properties that John had on, just for your knowledge. One is Milton Leatherboard,
Mhm.
that's privately owned.
Yeah.
When we were doing when I was going through the Brownfield grant
Yeah.
process, I contacted the owner, and he had no interest in doing any building, but using it for storage.
Yeah.
Which kind of broke my heart to see that.
Yeah.
And the other one is the Jones Brook. And the reason the barricades are there, they weren't there the whole time I was on the board. And somebody decided to use that as a private dumping ground, brought a boat down there, dumped a boat down there, and so they want to keep them out as to put barricades there.
Some other activity down there that we can't speak about in this meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why the barricades went up. There's been people down there caught.
Okay. All right, well, hopefully we can figure it all out.
Do them both.
Yes, this is a perfect example of making a decision.
Anybody else have any comments?
I have one last comment.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Tom, I think it was 2 meetings ago, we had Andrew Keller here,
Yep.
and I had a request to take down the erosion
Yeah,
fencing.
We're taking care of that.
Okay,
I've been in contact with,
okay,
that's okay, that's going on.
okay.
Okay.
Cancel it.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll close public comments. Any other business that may come before the board? I hear nothing. I'll just need a motion for adjournment.
Make motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.